I am your host, Axis, for the day, filling in for my good friend Sky, who is at home with his lovely wife after the birth of their first child. And I am joined by Ryan Baroff, filling in for Tom Jacobs as he gallivants across Western America. What's going on, Ryan?
Happy to be here. I thought you were filling in for Tom and I was filling in for Sky, but yeah, we'll call it.
Flip a coin. Either way, those two gentlemen, for some reason, left us the keys to the vehicle while they are out on the town. So let's make them pay for that.
Let's do it.
So, Dunhill Links Championship, that is why we're here. That is what we are going to discuss. But I feel like coming off of a Ryder Cup, we have to touch on that maybe just a little bit. So really, give a high-level overview. Enjoy it. Did you enjoy it? I think you did, because we both had wagers on the European Tour side. So yeah, what were your thoughts on that? I see a lot going on Twitter today about how the Ryder Cup needs to be more competitive, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a lot of overreaction to what we just saw. Maybe if we calm down for a week or two before some of these hot takes. But yeah, where are you at?
Yeah, the content machine does not sleep. That's for sure. There have been no fewer than 10 hours of podcasts that have been released since yesterday. Yeah, I thought it was great. We've been on the Europe bandwagon for a while. I think probably starting in early June, it was pretty clear that the European team was a lot stronger, both at the top, but also at the bottom relative to where we thought they would be. Right? There were rumblings obviously about Marunk, Adrian Otaegui, Yannick Paul, that was never going to end well. You had Bob and Højgaard and Sepp, right? And then obviously Aberg, who he didn't even have his best stuff, but still won a couple points. So very solid week overall. The Americans have quite a lot of work to do. But again, in 2 years, when we're back at Bethpage, I'm sure they will be fairly significant favorites again.
Yep. Full disclosure, I did get back. So I had a DK. I had a plus 165 on Europe, and then I hopped on US plus 110. Look, I had made coming into the event, I thought the US should have been maybe slight to small favorites, so I had to take the 110. I rarely cross, but again, I rarely get the opportunity to do so. So it was just rooting for anything but a tie. I did win more on Europe, so that was nice. They just seem to be more of an enjoyable team to root for anyway. And like you said, the USA team has a lot of work to do, but I think it's a lot self-inflicted. Not to get into it too deep, but the buddy system clearly isn't working. Hopefully that's over with. We'll see at the President's Cup if they run JT and Spieth back out there, Burns and Scheffler, if those four golfers, Scheffler will probably be on, but are lucky enough to even be on that team. Xander Cantlay, I don't have as big of a problem with because I think they can complement each other. But again, they might just work better with others to split up the other guys. So they may not be able to play with each other. But I think they shoot themselves in their own foot with some of this because it was foursomes. It was 7-1 in foursomes. That's where they fumbled the event. Again.
And you don't have to be an analytical genius to figure out the most basic things. Colin Morikawa needs a partner who puts him in the fairway, right? Scotty Scheffler needs a partner who puts him in the fairway so you can leverage his iron play. And then Scotty Scheffler, right, also needs a good putter, and I guess that's the direction they went. But Burns just did not play well that first day.
He took a lot of heat for bouncing back pretty well the rest of the week. The opening round, though, it was obvious that he was really an anchor, not a good one, that Scheffler was having to drag along in round one.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, they just didn't play well. Colin Morikawa missed a ton of fairways. He missed a ton of greens. Guys were hitting it in the water. Ricky Fowler was horrible when he played. Wyndham Clark was probably the worst guy there, maybe except for Spieth. So they just didn't play well.
Yeah, that's part of it too, right? It's easy to Monday quarterback when things go poorly over 3 rounds of golf. But yeah, they didn't show up for whatever reason. I'm not going to try to spin narratives. I think the most obvious one maybe was the 4 weeks off for 10 of the 12 guys. But again, that's just a hunch. The Europeans were in form even before that, but they continued it at Wentworth. So yeah, anyway, we are now here. We have moved on to the Alfred Dunhill. For those of you who aren't aware, it is a pro-am. It is played at Carnoustie, at Kingsbarn, and at the Old Course of St. Andrews, where they played the final round as well. So there'll be 2 rounds at St. Andrews. And just a word of warning, the setup is not going to be the normal major setup, particularly probably at Carnoustie, because again, this is a pro-am. They cannot have that. It takes long enough as it is, let alone let alone if you are trying to just annihilate this field. And then another quick note on that: the weather looks diabolical at the moment on Friday and Saturday. Winds 20 plus for almost the entire day on Friday and Saturday. Gusts up to 35 miles an hour. Overcast, 60 degrees. Thursday seems to be the easiest day. Don't see wind above 10 miles an hour at the moment. I'm sure this will all change by Thursday, so be sure to check that. But really quick on that, if you're going to wait to bet, some people do that. They're crazy, but some people wait. We had a brief conversation about this, is it better do you want your golfers at Carnoustie during the easy day or Carnoustie on the hardest day? I fell on the side of I want the hardest course on the easier day. I don't know if you want to refute that, or maybe you feel the same, or who the hell knows?
Yeah, I think overall I probably feel the same, but at the end of the day, if you can go out at the Old Course early on a Thursday where the weather's calm, and I think we saw a 61 and a 62 last year in the first round, and they didn't finish the week well, but obviously made the cut, right? I think there is an advantage to that. We had a pretty similar weather split last year. I think it was round 2 also. There were like 2 or 3 scores under 70 all day. There were guys shooting mid 70s, low 80s. It's fun to watch, and I expect more ejections this year.
Right. So, yeah. All right. Let's get into it. As far as the courses go, I'm not going to sit here and break them down. If you want, there's tons better out there written word on these particular courses because 2 of them are very famous in Carnoustie and the Old Course. I will say I definitely leaned towards distance. That's just how I feel is beneficial at these courses. In particular, the course that the winner is going to play twice with St. Andrews. Again, who knows what the weather does to all of that. But, that's just kind of the route I went, was just the ball striking in general, but more ball striking on the distance than anything else.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think obviously keeping the ball in the fairway, keeping it out of bunkers is going to be super important. All of these pro-ams turn into a wedge fest, at some point. You don't get the hardest hole location. So while I think it's always helpful to hit the ball close to the hole, I think you're going to get a lot of pretty flat 15, 20 footers that you see made this week. So off the tee number 1 and probably scrambling and short game number 2 for me this week.
I'm on board with that. So as we look at the board, I'm going to read the odds off of DraftKings and we will go from there. But neither of us wanted to dabble at the top of this board. Leading us off is Tommy Fleetwood and Matt Fitzpatrick, 2 guys who are probably still drunk at this very moment. Maybe not Fitzpatrick, maybe a few Shirley Temples. I don't know. I don't know how he rolls exactly, but either way, Fleetwood is 7.5 to 1. Fitzpatrick 12 to 1. Ryan Fox is 16 and Taylor Gooch is 18 to 1, rounding out all the golfers below 20 to 1. Again, we did not touch here. So real quick, if you had to pick one, where are you going at the top?
It's hard not to say Tyrrell Hatton has some of the best course history here. He should have won 3 in a row. He won 2016, 2017, and then I believe he was leading going into the final round of 2018.
Are you talking about a golfer who's not in this field?
Yes, I was. Sorry about that. I was looking back at the leaderboard where him and Fleetwood finished T2, and yes, the answer is Tommy Fleetwood. I did look back at 2018, which was played the week after the Ryder Cup at the Golf National. And both of them were in contention. So that was obviously as close of a parallel as you can draw here this week. I've been on Fleetwood, as have you, all year. Seems crazy that he hasn't won anything yet. He would be the guy that I go to, but again, anybody under 20 or 25, I really had no interest in this week.
Yeah, I kind of wrote him off. I know the field's weak. Maybe Fitzpatrick doesn't party. Maybe he does harder than I think. Maybe he doesn't. Tommy Fleetwood, older family man now. I'm sure he's going to have a day or two, but again, speculation. I think I would just roll with Fox at 16-1, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could probably convince me. It's just the number on Gooch, right? It's not that I don't think he deserves to be up here. Yeah. I still have a hard time leveling off how these guys do jumping from live events to these events. It's not to say he's not talented, any of that. He's capable of winning this. I just don't think it's for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And I thought about really all the live guys who are here, all four of them, except for Hudson Swafford. He's not in my list this week. But yeah, I just think there's a different element to it. And it's not about 72 holes. It's just about kind of being on the world stage, being in that limelight. They're inevitably going to have to deal with the questions, right? And I think Taylor Gooch, anyways, he's cooled off quite a bit.
Right. So we'll jump into the 20s. We'll talk about one golfer who, at the end of this, who we got at a much better number than what DraftKings is offering. But we'll start with Adrian Marunk at 22-1, Burmeister also at 22. Then we have Jordan Smith, 25. Absolutely not. I don't know how anyone could do that to themselves. I had no money on him last week, but a lot of people that I followed did, and it's just that was a bad one. That goes on his wall of shame's pretty big, and that's a pretty big award to go on that wall. Last time we saw Jordan Smith, Billy Horschel, 28, and then we get to Rasmus Højgaard, who is 30-1. But you and I got him at 40-1, so I'll let you start on Rasmus Højgaard.
Yeah, obviously, I think he will draw a lot from last week, even though he wasn't the one playing. He was there supporting his brother, probably was part of celebrations, part of the team room quite a bit. And I think this is a really good number for him. He dropped in form this year, obviously. Won the Maiden in Denmark when he really didn't play that well. Kind of backed his way into that when Nacho and Ramsey sort of fell apart at the end. But he was fourth at the French Open a couple weeks ago on a course that apparently he loves because he has a fourth and a second there. But I was looking back at some of his results, and he seems to actually do pretty well at these shorter, linksy type courses. He had a top 20 here last year, and I just think 40-1 is a really good price for the talent in this field.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I looked at the number, and it felt high, but then when I made my own number, I was like, ugh. But I went with it anyway. I'm in a slump with the DP World Tour, so I kind of threw a few things out the window of like, okay, just intuitively, can I make sense of this? And he is what I was looking for. He's obviously has the distance. He has shown he can win out of zero form, and he actually might have a little bit coming into this. The form was very much there in the beginning of the year. He can putt very well, which at this Pro-Am, barring weather, they're going to rack up birdies. Again, we seem to have some weather, though, so that does concern me a wee bit with his irons. But I just think it just seemed to make sense, despite my simulations making him higher. When I initially looked at it, I was like, in this field, some of the pedigree that is lacking, he has some of it. He is a multiple-time winner. Why not sprinkle the feel-good nature on top of what he just witnessed in person in Rome?
Yeah, and again, he's done well at some of these sort of link-style courses that I wouldn't expect. So obviously the Golf National, he won the Omega European Masters 2 years ago. He won at Himmerland. Like, these are the types of courses where, like, you wouldn't think his distance would matter too much, but seems to play really well.
Yes. I love golfers like that just make no sense. I mean, Fitz was that guy for a while. He seemed to play better at the longer courses before he worked on his speed, his driver.
Sure.
I think another guy like that kind of is Will Besseling on the DP World Tour. He just doesn't. He seems to play well at these shorter tracks, and he's not that bad of a driver. So I don't know. Yeah. You get these baffling cases. So we'll jump into the 30s to 40s. We have Thorbjorn Olsen, 35. Bob Mack also coming. Absolutely want nothing to. Bob looked plastered already. Like, just that guy is living for the. And I don't blame him at all. No thank. I mean, I honestly don't love 35 to 1 to begin with, whether it was hungover or not. Louis Oosthuizen is showing his face at 35 to 1. I can't imagine why he wants to play. Maybe it's not farming season back home in Florida. I don't know. Yannick Paul, 40 to 1. Peter Uihlein, another live guy. I mean, we sprinkled in quite a few livers this week. 40 to 1. Used 40. None of us had anything to do with this range, and I honestly don't have that much to say about it. So I'll get to my next pick, which was Matt Wallace. He is currently sitting at 55 to 1 on DraftKings. This is another one where my number wasn't that far off 55. It just felt necessary. I think when I ran my course fit stuff, it just seemed to suit. He's been playing pretty well statistically since the Rocket Mortgage. His putting has been the one letdown. The Irish Open off the tee wasn't the best, but he had the second place at the Czech Masters, 24th the following week. He has won this year over in Punta Cana. He is another guy who just flashes in and out, more out than in. I understand that. I wish I had a more convincing reason, but it was really just running numbers versus this field. And he's not doing any one thing particularly poorly. I don't know what he changed mid-July. Maybe it was just coming back to the Scottish Open, more comfortable over here, because he was playing a lot of PGA Tour before that. Since coming back to Europe, the fields are weaker. Maybe he just feels more comfortable, but the numbers have just been a lot more consistent and positive. And I think this is a place that he could have success. He hasn't had a top 10 here yet, but he has played decent in this tournament before.
Yeah, and I think, Wallace has obviously been close a couple times in Europe this summer, so that's always a good sign. But I think when you're betting guys in this range, you're looking for those spike weeks, right? Like, this is why you pick Matt Wallace and not Matt Southgate, right? Matt Wallace has won a handful of times. When he won at Punta Cana, the prior week at Valspar, I believe he led in strokes gained tee to green. We know he can lead a field in short game and putting. We know he can lead a field in iron play. So that's certainly the kind of upside that I would want for a golfer in this range.
Yeah, he's more than capable. Like, that's the thing. He's not a great putter, but he putts well enough on a consistent basis. It's there. Maybe you probably know very early. He's not somebody who I want to get out to a cold start. I do not see him clawing his way back into something. But he's been trying to work on that too. So maybe the mental side, maybe he's more accepting of that, but that is yet to be seen. So we'll drop down a little further. I'm kind of skipping over a few, but and I did miss one actually, because the number's quite different that you had. So Callum Hill is 45 to 1 now on DraftKings. I'll let you speak on him because you grabbed an 80 to 1.
Correct. And I really wasn't even looking at it, because the books that I saw open up first were in that 50 to 60 range. But yeah, Rivers posted an 80 with the each way this morning. So that was enough for me. Callum Hill, again, we've seen the spike weeks. He's won. He's been very close, a lot of them on these sort of courses in the UK. He had a 4th not too long ago at the British Masters, was 10th at the French Open a couple weeks ago. Just seems like he's close. He has a 26th and a 17th in this event. And again, I just think 80 to 1 with the places. If we don't think, Fleetwood and Fitz and those guys really play well this week, I think this event is wide open.
Yeah, I honestly don't have much to share on him, but when I click through, the form is better than I was expecting, to be quite honest with you, especially compared to my number. Again, it's hard to grasp everything, and I really didn't know what to do with Fitz and Fleetwood, so I ran it as if they were 100% healthy, ready to go. I feel like that is the safer route. But yeah, that's why that one kind of stuck out. So we'll jump down. We know no one had interest in Lingask, Ferguson, Eust. The next guy, though, we have bet a lot. We have bet a lot. We have never returned a winner on.
Got some places.
Time. Yes, he is a place king. So I'll let you start with our lovable Scottish friend.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the way he's playing right now, he's easily a top 10 player in this field, and he's not priced that way, right? He missed one cut at the French Open. That's a hard golf.
I'd like to go look at that because I didn't, but his approach numbers, I have to assume he hit it in the water multiple.
He hit it in the water. Yeah, well, yeah, and I mean, he wasn't close, and I think that's the kind of course where if you're in the water,
6 strokes in 2 rounds with this.
Well, he opened with 67.
Yeah.
He shot 80 in the second round. So, like, you want to throw out one round. I think that's the perfect chance to do it because prior to that, he had gone 4th, 3rd, 7th, and 10th. And he was down in, like, the 28 to 33 betting range. So, yeah, I just think the form is elite. Great iron player. Really good links player. And he was 10th here last year. He finished 5 back of Ryan Fox with a second round 76. So, again, probably got the bad end of some weather there. You throw that out, and he's right there at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, that seems to be a problem with him. 4 rounds of golf have been a struggle. Maybe he wants to try out live. It really comes down, I guess, to how you view priors, because like you said, the last time we saw him was horrible. But he came out of nowhere. So I was really hoping it wasn't 100% a flash in the pan. His Honda World Invitational, European Masters, Irish Open, the 4 straight top 10s there with the BMW, and the iron play was outstanding at all 3 of them that we got strokes gained from. Off the tee was very good. I just worried, like, because I was on him at the French Open too, and like, okay, again, I don't remember. I didn't see any of that 80. So I'm really hoping, maybe a ball, just a couple bounced into the water. Hopefully it didn't. I don't know. At 60 to 1 in this field, I was like, all right, it's worth a risk for how well the irons were. Yeah. Hopefully that is just a little bit of an aberration on his recent form resume. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't remember what the number was in France, but I assume he was probably like 40 to 1 or 35 to 1.
Yeah, it was lower than this, that's for certain.
Yeah, he shot 80 the second day with a triple. Yeah, it's fun. We can throw out one round.
Yeah. I'll definitely not remind you of you doing that in the future. So we jumped down, and now we're starting to get into the meat of the wagers. I mean, I've already talked about 3 men. I didn't go higher than 90 this week. I didn't. Yeah. You have a bunch coming up in this kind of chunk range. So, we skipped over Vic Perez. I was tempted with Norgard just because the profile. I couldn't do it. I'm pretty sure he's coming off 3 straight missed cuts, if I'm remembering golfers correctly. But I will let you get to the next guy. You once again got 80 to 1, but Callum Shinkwin is sitting at 60 to 1 on DraftKings.
Yeah, again, really good number. I mean, when you think of links specialists in Europe, Callum Shinkwin is definitely near the top of the list. He finished second here last year, almost won, also has a 39th and a 10th in this event. Has been completely dead since May.
It's been bad.
May of this year, and then randomly pops up for a T7 at Wentworth, at a course where you really wouldn't expect very much out of him. His iron play was tremendous. He gained off the tee. He gained around the green. And then while he didn't play well in France, he did still make the cut, and he still did gain off the tee, approach, and around the green. He might have putted
a few into the water.
Yeah, but I mean, this is very clearly one of his top events. He seems to be back in form. And again, he's a guy where when the field is weak, we've seen him as low as 18 to 20. I think he won at 18 to 1 on the European Tour a year ago. So I definitely love the upside here.
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, nope, he's somebody I have no issue betting. Like you said, the ball striking is intriguing though. Like that's what you're looking to have turned. It did. if he doesn't lose 2.5 strokes again, he's probably right in that event. We can say that about a lot of guys that we wager on, but it makes me feel better when we point it out.
Absolutely.
Since we're putting real money on this apparently.
That's right.
So, I couldn't get to my boy Guido. I know it feels like a week. Sky's not here, has a child. He honestly, the way he's been playing, he's somebody that I would like to see, kind of put it together in round one. I have no issue betting Migliozzi live. I do it quite often. I have not been on him pre-tourney too much. I think he's getting a lot of respect, to be quite honest, for not having won since the French Open last year and not particularly a ton of high finishes. He's been as consistent as he's ever been in his career as far as making cuts. Not tanking too bad outside of the BMW recently. So we'll see how he does coming out. He's not always been the strongest on these links or in some nasty weather, so that kind of turned me off as well. But if the ball striking looks okay in round one, I'm sure we'll hop on and tweet that out this particular week. So moving on, Eddie P. I know he tempted you at 70-1, but I know we didn't get there.
Yep. The form seems to have fallen a little bit. He had that run this summer where it looked like the ball striking was back, and he was near the top in terms of strokes gained approach. But I think Eddie again, he hasn't had any really high finishes here, and he's not the kind of guy who really has these spike weeks where he rips off wins. Yeah,
he's always someone I root for. He's funny to me. He seems like a pretty good dude. And a good person to root for, so it would be nice to see him really get himself into contention as long as he's not beating somebody I wagered on, because that would bother me.
Yeah.
And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dustball Matt Kuchar has found his way across the Atlantic. For what? I don't know. I don't know if he's bored. Maybe this is the effect of the PGA Tour schedule being primarily a play-in tournament now in the fall. Yep. There's no incentive for him. So maybe he decided to be a nice guy, take his sponsors out. That seems odd for him.
Does seem odd for him. It's a long way to go.
Based on his reputation.
Yeah.
Or maybe his sponsor's paying him to show up to play with them. That is always a possibility as well. I have no idea who is. He's played this before. I saw back in 2018, T30. So I don't know. It just seemed a little out of place, but maybe he's feeling good. He finished 7th last time he played golf that we saw him at the Fortinet. I don't know. I just had to mention he is sitting here in this field at what did I just see? 65-1. I don't know. That seems like maybe
it's not a bad number for a guy who just had a top 10. But yeah, just doesn't. And of course, he's had linked success in the past. He doesn't strike me as the guy who's going to come over here and win something.
I was a bit surprised to see him in this field.
Maybe he just wants to play with Billy Horschel.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, Billy loves Europe. I mean, I don't know why.
Billy's been here for like 2 months. It's great.
I would love to know his travel schedule and if he just stayed. I mean, he.
I assume he's just been here. Yeah.
He probably. I mean, he's won enough in his life where he can travel pretty nice. So it's possible he hopped back across. But maybe not. Yeah. I don't know. So I'm going to skip a few instead of listing them all, but we both bet Alex Fitzpatrick again. We've been betting him quite a bit. We found him at 90-1. He is 55-1. I don't know how I missed that when I was reading through. I haven't hosted a podcast in like 2 years, so we're doing our best. And honestly, I think I'm just a little bit shocked that he is. Maybe not shocked, because I actually made him a lot closer to 55 than I did to 90-1. If you want to speak on Alex Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, like you said, shocked by the number. We were all on him. So he obviously won the British Challenge on the Challenge Tour a couple months ago, then came over, made the leap up at the ISPS and finished second to Daniel Brown. He he then continued that, played really well at the Czech Masters on a course probably didn't suit him that well. Then finished 5th at Crans on a course that did suit him really well. A couple of bad finishes, but he made both the cuts, and suddenly his price has tripled, which again doesn't make a lot of sense. We saw how well he played at the Open Championship, obviously qualified for the Open Championship. He loves links golf. I'm sure there are some good Ryder Cup vibes for him as well, being there last week. So yeah, 90-1 just seemed really, really big.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, at 55, I honestly don't think I would have pulled the. In fact, I didn't, because I'm pretty sure DK led the market this week as far as putting out odds in America anyway. Yeah, the 90 just I don't understand. Like, sure, the last two have been not great, but like, how many golfers coming into events have like everything just like they're not 90-1? I tell you that.
No.
How many these other guys at 90-1 just finished T5, T14, T2 on this tour? Not many, I imagine. Or I probably would have bet them as well. So, yeah, I don't know. You know, it's always weird when guys make the jump from whether it's KFT to PGA or Challenge to DP World Tour, how much carryover they get. We see college guys get this boost, this carryover almost. I don't know what it is. The super focus, maybe maybe some of them thrive on that stress, or maybe some just have no idea of that stress yet. And then we often can see a lull come after that. I think you see it a lot on the PGA Tour with college kids to jump. But yeah, just 90-1 just did not seem appropriate, to be quite honest with you. Considering how recently he has played well. And that rounds out my card for me. So you have one left that we did not speak about.
We shouldn't speak about it.
However, we did get some wonderful content from this golfer last week. He was very pumped to be watching the Euros absolutely trounce America early on. I believe he released his video perhaps mid-session 2. We are talking about the one and only Richard Mansell. Boy, was he! If you haven't seen the video, I died laughing. Just maybe I'm just weird. I don't know. I found it great content. But you got our friend Richard here at 100-1. He is 90-1 on DraftKings still.
Yeah, I think, again, this a pretty big number for a guy who's been out of form this year, but I mean, was really one of the best players on the European Tour towards the end of last summer. Was consistently in the top 10, if not top 5. He drives it really well and far. I think, again, we talked about that being really important here. Obviously, much like Connor Siem, the one thing that he cannot do is put 4 rounds together specifically on a Sunday. And we saw that here last year. He finished 4 back of Ryan Fox with a Sunday 76. He was there. We've seen it multiple times. We saw it in Wales. We saw it in Denmark, I believe. He just likes shooting 76 on Sundays. But he seems to have found a little bit of form. He was 28th in France, 24th at the ISPS. And again, he's 100-1, so I don't need very much for me to be talking to a 100-1 golfer. I like his upside. I'll say that for the price.
Yeah, I looked at every time he had started the final round inside the top 10, and I believe there was 11 in the last two going back to 2021. He shot 70 in 9 of those 11 rounds, 70 or higher. He dropped position in 8 of them, or 7 of them.
Nice.
Yeah, so he fits that wonderful bill of golfer that we love to wager on. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I bet him a lot last year. Unfortunately, you sent me that, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm missing something. And I was just like,
no, you're not missing anything.
I bet a lot of bad guys. Don't get me wrong.
And so, I mean, much like Rasmus, even though he has, a lot of distance off the tee and is not the most accurate, like, he's done well at some of these events. Like I said, he was 7th here last year. He was third at Crans last year. He was eighth in the British Masters. I just feel like he can play anywhere if he can keep the ball in play.
Yeah, I'm curious because we just talked about like making that jump. I'm up, so now he could be one of those other guys. We see this a ton where things kind of disappear after a career year, and the talk last year was that he was struggling to get into some tournaments near the end of the year that we all thought rightfully like this guy's top 20 in the tour points list, like Race to Dubai. Sometimes I wonder now, like, was that stress release, like, was he so on edge and stressed out last year? Once the year finally ended, did he just like mentally, maybe not even on purpose, like this is the beauty of golf, right? You're such an individual sport, so your brain can play so many that we cannot model, we cannot see in stats, and we normally can't even know about, because golf media likes to ask golfers like what's their favorite restaurant instead of asking any prying questions, which, you know, honestly, some of them might not even answer. That's fine, but they just don't even get asked. That's a whole nother rant that I could go on. Does he just like have that release of relief? Yeah. Like, whew, and then that's kind of taken over this year, and it's taken him some time to get back into it.
Yeah, I just think, again, there are signs, like whether you want to look at stats, I don't know how much you trust those, or just look sort of round to round, like, last event in France was a perfect example. He opened with 65. He was one back of Tom Kim after Thursday. Shot a 70 in round 2, shot 70 in round 3, was kind of there, and then shot 75 on Sunday. So, like, yes, we've seen that pattern, and it's not great, but if you're opening with a 65 at that golf course, like, your game is good. Like, he's in a good place right now. So,
yeah, he's in a good place until he's until he's in a good place on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
That is definitely unfortunate for him. He seems like I'm becoming so endeared to so many of these DP World Tour golfers. Just like, this is such an amazing tour, which everyone who's watching or listening to this probably is already aware of that. But I try to tell everybody who, like, if you're a big PGA Tour fan, I feel like you're severely missing out. Like, you might not have to live and breathe this tour, but like, man, you should be tuning in a little more often to follow along with some of these stories and these guys. Like, this is just it's some unbelievable stuff that happens every Sunday. We'll put it that way.
Plus he came over here to play college golf, played in South Florida, played at the same college Eric Cole played. So let's hit the Nova Southeastern double this week.
Were they teammates?
No, Cole was there.
Cole's older, isn't he?
Older, yeah. Cole's old. He's like mid-30s.
Yeah, he is like a 34-year-old rookie.
Man,
speaking of, like, what a glow up for that guy. Like, that made me happy. We were on him early. Unfortunately, that's another guy that you probably won't see at. What did we have at Honda? Like, oh my God, was that it was 150. He was one of two 150 to 1 golfers I had losing a playoff last year. Not that I am holding on to that or remembering all of the playoff losses that I had in the 20.
It's still crazy. Data Golf has him number 29 in the world, which is it's ridiculous.
I don't want to out myself, but let me check real quick.
I would probably have him around 50-ish, but yeah. I don't know. 29 seems high. For someone who can't hit the ball off the tee. He's gotten better. He's gotten better.
Yes. I don't know. I agree. Yeah, we're going on a side rant now for Eric Cole, but I don't know. I find his story to be amazing. Yeah, I got him at like 29, so that's just lovely. But again, that's just my rating's based on what has happened. Like, projecting him forward, I don't, because of the driving. That is a completely different discussion. So we will run it back real quick to go over our picks. I will start. I went with Rasmus Højgaard at 40 to 1, Matt Wallace 45 to 1, Connor Symes 60 to 1, and Alex Fitzpatrick 90 to 1. And I did grab places on those last 2 wagers.
We always need places on these guys. Let's be real. Lots of overlap there. I'm on Rasmus and Syme and Alex Fitzpatrick with you. Also, Callum Shinkwin and Callum Hill at 80-1, and Richard Mansell at 100-1.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to the DP World Tour Picks and Bet Show, again presented by Mayo Media Network, and good luck everybody this week.